Ending the race grift. That's the focus of tonight's Angle. The man who was elected president of the United States twice, who graduated from Harvard Law School, who owns close to $100 million worth of luxury homes in the most exclusive enclaves of America, and who spends his summers with celebrities on mega yachts in the Mediterranean. That guy, Barack Obama, is now trying to sell the notion that racism is the cornerstone of American life.
If a Republican who may even be sincere in saying, I want us all to live together, doesn't have a plan for how do we address crippling generational poverty that is a consequence of hundreds of years of racism in the society, and we need to do something about that. There may come a time where there's somebody in the Republican Party that is more serious about actually addressing some of the deep inequality that still exists in our society that tracks race and is a consequence of our racial history.
So, by the way, Tim Scott doesn't count in his thinking. But let me get this straight. This man was president for 8 years. 8! So was America plagued by racism when he won both elections handily? And if so, how could he have possibly won in such a hostile environment? And if it was systemically racist when he was president, what work did he do in his 2 terms to change that dynamic? Is he actually trying to convince us that the poverty and crime that has gripped urban America in places like New York and Chicago, Baltimore, Philly, that's really the vestige of the 19th century slaveholders? Now, none of this racial talk, none of it is going to help Black Americans. It will not create a single job. It won't change a single mind. But they're hoping it just might help Democrats stay in power despite their terrible record on the economy. Now, the truth is, we, populist conservatives, we have a set of policies that work. That's why large numbers of Americans from every demographic group, Blacks included, are leaving liberal enclaves like San Francisco and Portland for safer, lower-cost living sites. So the lies that Obama and the entire Democrat Party continue to tell about America are poison. They're poison to the body politic and to all of us. And it's fraudulent, just like the Black Lives Matter movement, the movement they all glommed onto after the death of George Floyd.
Have the brilliance of Black Lives Matter and that movement and what it has done to force change.
We should be celebrating Black Lives Matter because the continuity of evil in our country has led us to this moment.
Black Lives Matter, period.
Black Lives Matter should be very much at the forefront in every policy that we ever do in this country.
Of course, we know now that the entire movement, if that's what you really want to call it, was a scam. Now, we knew it at the time, and we said as much on the Angle. But some dopey Republicans who wanted to be considered kind of cool and respectable, they threw in with their own support.
We need a voice against racism. We need many voices against racism and against brutality. We need to stand up and say that Black Lives Matter.
The mask outside always gives it away, probably, has it on in his car right now. How embarrassing. Ditto for all of the mayors of America's failing cities. Of course, they're desperate to change the subject from their disastrous records. The records that they tried to, hide and deflect from because they tried to ride the BLM wave and they engaged in pure political performance art. Yeah, and no one riding the subways. Now, how powerful all of that was, right? Ignore the fact that our cities were looted and trashed. Ignore the fact that our schools were shuttered then as protesters roamed free. But as with everything, the truth eventually trickles out. Soon after all those obsequious corporate CEOs started filling BLM's coffers with millions and millions of dollars in donations, BLM reportedly began to operate as a personal slush fund, not as a vehicle to help struggling Black Americans. And now it's bleeding millions in cash despite, by the way, taking in a staggering sum of $42 million after expenses in 2021. So where did all that money go? The auditor's review noted that a sibling of the former executive director owned a security company that received more than $1.6 million in payments for something just labeled security services. You know what I say, keep it in the family, just like the Bidens. Keep it tight. Now, remember Patrisse Cullors, right, who co-founded BLM? She was nothing but another ignorant anti-Trumper.
Trump not only needs to not be in office in November, but he should resign now. Trump needs to be out of office. He is not fit for office. And so what we are going to push for is a move to get Trump out.
And another $3 million house. Well, of course, she's the one who ended up resigning. She stepped down from BLM leadership after questions were raised about her lavish lifestyle and personal real estate purchases. But it was obvious from day one that this thing was run by self-absorbed, radical Marxist flim-flam artists who hate all things traditional, including the nuclear family and the Catholic Church. The top dog at BLM's Calgary chapter in Canada was arrested and charged with a hate crime after blocking access to a children's Catholic school. Now, do you notice how Obama, Biden, Harris, Mitt Romney, they've all kind of silently backed away? Cats got their tongue about the grifters that propelled Black Lives Matter. And same for the fact that their beloved cities are collapsing under the weight of the same dynamics: the misuse of funds, wasted money, meaningless virtue signaling, and zero accountability. And it's finally catching up to them. Brand new polling finds that support for the BLM movement has tanked from 67% in 2020 to just 51% now. Now, the Democrats sell division. They sell racial hatred 24/7 because they have a willing media that never calls them out, never asks the hard questions, never does a review of what was promised and what was delivered. Remember, fact checks only go one way. So Republicans right now have a tremendous opportunity here. So my question tonight on The Angle is, are they going to take advantage of this moment? Or are they going to squander it, as they have so many times before? I'll say what I said on election night 2020 when I was at the White House. Take note of Florida, and especially now take note of South Florida, where a multi-ethnic, multiracial coalition is delivering real results for all Americans, regardless of race. And that's The Angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.